Halloween is one of the best times of year for a lot of people who want to be able to get their scare on and watch horror films, or especially dress up and scare the heck out of anyone who walks by. From zombie costumes to serial killers, there is always something for someone to dress up as this time of year. But in the chaos of all the costumes, there is one who rises above it all when it comes to the dressing up game and bringing fear to those who see him, and not just on Halloween, but any night, for he prowls the rooftops and stops those who are evildoers, and his name is BatMan!
Hey, what is up, everybody? My name is Noah Maurer, and welcome to the first episode of The Nerd Talk. Today's episode is BatMan Arkham Origins. I know it's super close to Halloween. The Halloween special that I have is going to come out after Halloween. I think, that's fine. I know it's not normal, maybe for most, that usually it's on Halloween or before, a little before, but it's going to be a little after, but that's okay. But nonetheless, let's hop right into this one. I'm a huge Batman fan. I've been a huge Batman fan ever since I've been, 8 years old whenever Arkham Asylum came out, and I like Batman before that too. It's just that's really what got me into Batman, was the Arkham series, and ever since then I've been a huge Batman fan. I love him. I've learned so much about him over the years and everything, and just he's an awesome hero. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let's get right into it.
Now, I could have gone ahead and done Arkham Knight since it fits better with the time of year right now and takes place on Halloween, or even gone with Arkham Asylum since it's the first release, but stick with me, I want to go chronological with this one. Why? Well, because it's my show, and I can do that. And it's closer to Christmas, and I'm not very big on Halloween myself. I do remember though when Arkham Asylum first released in 2009, and when I played it, I absolutely loved it. It truly was what got me to be way more interested in Batman than I was at the time. I would play it day in, day out, and would always restart the game when I got to the Killer Croc section, since honestly, it always scared me, even more than the infamous Scarecrow levels. Then 2 years later, when Arkham City was released, I fell in love all over again. This time with a legit open world that I could explore, more Batman villains to allow me to dig deeper in Batman's rogue gallery, and a story that was just as amazing as the one from Asylum. After beating City, I was super excited to see where the series would go next, and so I waited patiently, playing City in anticipation to see what happens next. And then it happened. 2013 rolled around and Arkham Origins was released, a title not made by Rocksteady like the others, but by Warner Bros. Studio, instead taking a step back and telling a prequel story instead of moving forward. And to be honest, I was totally cool with this. It worked out great. Being able to get a chance to see Batman in his early years and his first time meeting certain villains, it made for a pretty awesome experience. Even the voice acting, while it wasn't Kevin Conroy, who is, let's be honest, the true Batman, and Mark Hamill, the true Joker, was stunning. The work of Roger Craig Smith, who is also the amazing voice actor who plays Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5 and played Ezio Auditore in Assassin's Creed series, puts on one heck of a show with his work as a much younger, angrier Batman, and it's amazing to see play out, and the talent of Troy Baker playing the Joker is stunning. While it may not be Mark Hamill, he certainly doesn't fail to bring this version of the Joker to life in his own way. It honestly does feel like just a younger version of both Kevin and Mark, and it's amazing. Now, the story of Arkham Origins is a fantastic one. Even though personally I prefer the stories of Asylum and City, this one still has its way to stand out on its own and be a real nice and solid story. We start with Bruce being Batman for about 2 years, so he's still only a legend at most, and he doesn't have the aid of the GCPD on his side. And on this particular night, which happens to be Christmas Eve, a breakout occurs over at Blackgate Prison, caused by the Black Mask. So Batman suits up and heads over to see what's going on and bring Black Mask to justice. As he goes through the prison, stopping criminals and following the trail to find Black Mask, he finally comes across Commissioner Loeb, who is executed by Black Mask despite being on his payroll, and also meets Killer Croc for the first time. While on the trail, Batman comes across a drone that gets smashed by Killer Croc, and then he decides to take the chip that's in it to be able to restore it later to see what's on it. But as he continues on, he comes across Killer Croc and fights Croc, and finds out some information from him about some assassins, but he doesn't know fully what to think of this. So he heads back to the Batcave after defeating Killer Croc and loads up the chip and finds out it's going to be a long night. It turns out Black Mask has placed a bounty on Batman's head for $50 million. That is insane. I don't even know what I would do with $50,000, let alone $50 million? Man, I could buy like a yacht or something, bro. Like 10 yachts if I want. I don't know. That's just insane. That being said, there are 8 assassins who come to town to try and bring down the Bat. Killer Croc, Deadshot, Deathstroke, Shiva, Bane, Firefly, Copperhead, and the Executioner. All come to town to try and kill the Bat and claim that $50 million to be famous and rich. Batman sets out to go visit the Penguin after learning this news to get the whereabouts of Black Mask to find out where he is. So after coming across Enigma, aka the Riddler, who I despise as a character, but I do like the voice actor, and dropping a thug on a Christmas tree, and dealing with some signal jammers, we finally find Penguin at an old boat. Once Batman arrives, he comes across the Executioner, and a boss fight ensues. And it seems to be like an interesting... Oh, never mind. He went down in one hit. Well, that was a pushover. Once he arrives to Penguin, we do get one of the best boss fights that takes place, the fight with Deathstroke. An awesome back and forth rock, paper, scissors style fight, trading blows with him, and it makes for one heck of a fight. Now on a side note, I do wish that the fight would have been later within the game, and maybe taken place on the shipping containers like it was stated in the promotional material for the game. But nonetheless, it's still one of the most memorable boss battles in gaming history, but personally, I wish that it could have been later in the game. I think it would have made more sense, but it works out nonetheless. After defeating Deathstroke, Penguin is hiding away, and so Batman still has no clue where Black Mask is, but he gets some intel that at a hotel there was a murder, and the victim was Black Mask. Puzzled by this, Batman heads to investigate since he saw Black Mask earlier that night. So Batman arrives and investigates the scene and learns it actually wasn't Black Mask, and learns there's a new threat called the Joker. But to get more info on the Joker, Batman needs to head to the GCPD to use their criminal database and see what else he can learn. So off we go again, now to the GCPD to be able to learn more about this Joker. So as Batman arrives, he has to be sneaky and take out a ton of officers, both in stealth and normal combat. And before he can arrive to the database, he realizes that his path is blocked by security that he doesn't recognize. Luckily, he is able to go to the evidence room and grab a disruptor and get in. So after gaining the disruptor and getting in, he is able to connect, but still needs one more part, so he heads down to the sewers to get to the computer to connect fully and find out the true story of the murder. Once getting there, he is able to put the full story together, and instead of me trying to explain it, here it is, from the Dark Knight himself.
Here's what happened. By now, Gotham PD thinks Roman Sionis is dead, the casualty of a turf war, murdered by the Penguin. But I know better. Someone spooked Sionis' girlfriend, so he sent her to his safe house, which was anything but safe. Sionis showed up later, ready for trouble, and found it. Or so it seemed. Roman's always been paranoid. That's probably why he's lasted this long. He'd sent in a decoy, giving himself the element of surprise. But it wasn't enough. There was a fight. Sionis lost. The killer didn't hesitate to shoot the decoy, but he wanted Roman alive to access the cash stored at the Gotham Merchants Bank. With Sionis under control, all that remained was to tie up loose ends. But it wasn't the fire that killed Sionis' girlfriend. What kind of monster forces a man to kill the ones he loves? The Joker. He's the shadow I've been chasing. And now I know where he's going next. Gotham Merchants Bank.
So there we have it. The Joker was the one who broke in and Black Mask lost the fight. After this revelation, an alarm goes off at the bank, so Batman heads there to take care of that. When he arrives, we see Black Mask is robbing his own bank. But what's this? Black Mask is holding Black Mask as a hostage? We now know that the Joker, who was finally revealed, was pretending to be Black Mask and run his operations and place the bounty on Batman himself. This is amazing in the fact that we get to see how dangerous the Joker truly is, in the fact that he was able to crumble the #1 crime lord in Gotham and take over his operations, and the fact he was able to pretend to be Black Mask to a T shows just how dangerous the Joker truly is and how unpredictable he can be. After making his escape, Batman must follow where the Joker goes next, to the Sionis steel mill, where he finds Sionis and tries to get information out of him, but then is attacked by Copperhead, who poisons him. So Batman has to make his way back to the entrance to obtain an antidote Alfred makes, after getting a sample of the poison, all while fighting against Copperhead and hallucinations. After he gets the cure and takes care of Copperhead, he then gets a signal from the Executioner's gloves, allowing him to follow the signal to the Royal Gotham Hotel. After arriving, we see that the Joker is making it a madhouse, a literal madhouse, and so Batman makes his way up to the penthouse and encounters Bane. Once he gets there, after taking on Bane, Bane escapes and Batman is able to capture Joker, who is then taken to Blackgate Prison. Of course though, in Batman logic, it doesn't last long, making the second breakout to happen in one night. As Batman is headed there to deal with the issue, he discovers that Bane knows his identity. In a panic, he heads back to the Batcave to find Bane has ruined it and killed Alfred. Luckily, Batman gained the Electrocutioner's gloves and is able to bring Alfred back to life. After this, he heads on to Blackgate for the final showdown. As Batman goes through the prison and finally comes across Joker, he is forced to fight Bane once more, to the death, since if he doesn't kill Bane, the Joker will be electrocuted in an electric chair that is hooked up to Bane's heartbeat. But Batman, being Batman, wins the fight and stops Bane's heart with his shock gloves, but brings him back after. After this, however, Bane uses an enhanced version of his Venom drug that doubles his size and makes him nearly unstoppable. Luckily, Batman is just so much of a beast and wins, and thanks to the side effect of the drug, Bane forgets the identity of Batman. Now Batman heads on and comes across Joker for the final battle, and finally brings the nightmare to an end, putting Joker behind bars, after beating the mess out of him, of course. But the night isn't over yet. With some of the assassins still out there, Batman goes on to tie up the few loose ends before going home to enjoy a good Christmas breakfast. Now, as amazing as the story is, that's not all the game has to offer. After all, what would a Batman game be without taking some thugs and exploring the city? Combat works on the free flow system introduced in the Arkham Asylum, and adopted by many other games like Shadow of Mordor and Spider-Man PS4. The main focus is being on the offensive, bouncing around, fighting crook after crook, while also focusing heavily on counters to keep your momentum going. It's super simple and fun, but also very complex. Yes, you can just spam the punch button and hop around, but using this tactic, you risk getting hit, breaking your combo and having to start over again. The most effective way is to find the balance between hitting and countering to get that combo going and keep your momentum moving as you take down enemies. I mean, come on, it's Batman. Why would he ever get hit by a normal... Oh, never mind. I swear I'm good at video games. But of course, it's not all just simple crooks you can hit back and forth. You also have special enemies that will keep you on your toes, like the mixed martial arts enemies who can counter your attacks while also delivering more than one attack to you to counter. And I love these enemies. These enemies probably were like my favorite enemy type, especially when I first played Arkham Origins, but they don't make a return in Arkham Knight, and honestly, it kind of made me sad. I would have loved to see them in Arkham Knight, but no. Anyway, there's also blade enemies who take multiple counters to stay out of their way, to then be able to go in and strike them. On a side note, I did play on the PC, and I was so used to a controller from the 360 version that I had to relearn how to move around using the mouse and keyboard. But I digress. Anyway, there's also the shielded enemies who you have to stun and do an aerial attack on to break their defense, armored enemies who need to be stunned and use a beatdown technique to take them down, and super big boys who take multiple stuns along with a beatdown to take them down, and sometimes they wear armor that needs to be broken off first. Makes for quite the complicated fight sometimes. It's not just hand-to-hand combat you'll be dealing to the crooks of Gotham. There is also the Predator system for stealth sections, which is just amazing. You enter a room and it's filled with gunmen, and so you have to use your detective vision and wits to be able to take down all the enemies without being caught. While Batman may have amazing armor, he still doesn't want to take a dozen bullets. He is, after all, still a man in armor. So you go around swinging between vantage points, watching enemies, and taking them out one at a time. If you are spotted, you can drop a smoke pellet and have a chance to get away, but enemies will be on guard. The Predator sections are so much fun for the fact that you can experiment and truly be Batman and take down enemies, instilling fear in the thugs trying to take you out. But being Batman is more than just fighting and being stealthy. It's the way he moves around the city of Gotham, from his gliding to his grapple gun, allowing him to reach high points and use them to get a boost for his gliding. Now I can say that Gotham on street level does look very bland at times, especially since it's only thugs and cops around at certain areas, but while it may look bland on the ground, when you're gliding around it looks stunning, even if everything is covered in snow. But I'd also chop it up to the fact that the game came out back in 2013 and it's been how many years since then, so I'd say it's probably part of that reason why it looks so bland now, especially compared to the stuff we have like Arkham Knight. But gliding and grappling are going to be your major ways of getting around Gotham, and it looks and feels great. Back in the day when I first played, it felt amazing, but ever since Night came out, allowing you to have the major boost and speed that you do in that game, in Origins it can feel very slow, but it's still fun to glide around nonetheless. There is a fast travel system with the Batwing, but you have to deactivate the signal jammers placed by the Riddler, and honestly, I never saw a need to use it. I'd rather just stick to the gliding around the city to get from point A to point B. It's not like it's a huge world, so it works out pretty well. Batman Arkham Origins really allows us to be able to see some amazing ideas sparked to life. From seeing a younger Batman dealing with his biggest challenge to seeing the origin of Joker becoming a villain for the Arkham universe, and some amazing enemies like the mixed martial arts enemies that I still wish were in Arkham Knight because I just love fighting them so damn much. Arkham Origins also allows us to see a whole new side to Batman. While yes, he's already always angry and silent in these games, we get to see a much younger Batman who is truly angry and filled with primal rage, and Roger Craig Smith really brings his character and that rage to life. That being said, we also get to see how Batman grows over the course of the story, and really get to see his bond with Alfred, and they have very different views but still truly care for one another. Like this scene here, where Alfred speaks his mind of how Bruce is in over his head, and Bruce shoots back at him saying how he's not.
Master Bruce, stop! Master Bruce!
What are
Bruce, I will not in good conscience allow you to go. You're outmatched by these assassins.
What?
You're not some hardened vigilante. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger. You're in over your head, and I don't want this to be your end.
Alfred, who do you see when you look at me? The boy whose shoes you used to tie every morning? The teenager you drove to his first date? While you are here every night, I am out there. The only thing between the innocent and the predator.
Be.
No, not may be. I am. When the mugger or the thief stops to think twice, that is fear. That is what I am. That is why they hired assassins, because I am the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises. So no, Alfred, I am not in over my head. Tonight will not be my end, but it will be theirs.
In the end, Batman Arkham Origins is a stunning game, and I absolutely love the game. I love all the Arkham games. My personal favorite probably is Arkham Asylum for story, but for gameplay, probably Arkham City, but I still love all of them nonetheless. And as this channel goes on, things are going to change. Like a rating system and stuff, I still haven't figured out exactly what my rating system is, but for now, we'll go with just 1 through 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. And so for this game, I would give it a solid 8 on the scale. And I really do enjoy it, and and there's more episodes to come. The next game is going to be fun. I think it's going to be a good time. I'm not going to say what it is. You guys just have to wait and see. But also, I do want to know what you guys want to see. So be sure to let me know down in the comments. Get in there, guys, and let me know what you guys want to see. And so if you enjoyed this one, be sure to hit that like button, click the subscribe button, do all those things, share the heck out of this video and everything, share it on the internet somewhere. And let's just have a good time and keep growing this community. I know things are going to change. I'm just getting started with everything, and so I'm learning a lot to be able to make the best content that I can in writing and speaking and everything. And it's going to take some time, but nonetheless, everyone starts somewhere, and this is where we're starting. But I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.